Welcome back, everyone, to the Bears Probably Plays YouTube channel. Today is Saturday, August 31st. We've got a full slate of college football games on the weekend for the first time all season long. It's great to be back. It's great to have a Saturday full football game. For the Saturday slate, I'm going to be looking at 6 different games, getting into the details for 4 of those 6 games, then having 2 flyer plays towards the end of the video. We're also going to have 2 best player props of the day towards the end of the video as well. If you're excited for college football, drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel below, and let's break down some ball. All right, guys, let's get into these plays that we had on Friday night. I am recording 5:45 p.m. Central. I'm going to try to get this video out about 7 o'clock on Friday night so people can have a chance to watch them Friday night, then Saturday morning. But this is what we have for Friday night. Wisconsin, minus 23.5 against Western Michigan, and then TCU minus 9.5 against Stanford. That's now minus 8.5. I think I got it at minus 9. Tyler Van Dyke, over 2.5 passing touchdowns against Western Michigan, and then Josh Hoover, over 276.5 passing yards against Stanford. Both those games are late. I think an 8 o'clock start and a 9:30 start for those two games. So I'll get off of here and be able to watch both those games. Happy about that. This is the leaderboard from Thursday's picks. 3-1 start to the season. Love to see that. 2-1 on the player props. Love to see that even more. North Carolina was -2 the push. And then Cam Miller, we had the rushing yards, but I couldn't bet it. Couldn't find it anywhere. It probably would have hit. He had 85 rushing yards. But let's get into the plays for Saturday. For the first play of the day, we're going to be looking at the University of Penn State. The Nittany Lions coming out of the Big Ten, going up against West Virginia, coming out of the Big 12. There's a lot of talk about Penn State this season, just like every season, how they're going to be really good. But this time they've actually have a chance to make the playoffs because they're letting a lot more teams in. The spread in this game, it's currently 8.5 points, and that's not enough points, even for the Mountaineers at home in this game. I'm taking Penn State minus 8.5 as the play. We have Drew Aller back behind center for Penn State. He was decent last season, didn't make a lot of mistakes, didn't have a lot of interceptions, but people are saying that he plays a little bit too conservative. I'm one of those people. You can just tell whenever he goes up against high-quality team, he kind of just turtles up a little bit. We saw that last season, but this season he's trying to make his case for one of the top-tier quarterbacks in the NCAA. I do think he's going to be just fine in this game. He's going to find a lot of space to work with in that secondary going up against West Virginia. This team, they're not going to be very good defensively this season. West Virginia, that is. They are going to have their quarterback as well from last year in Garrett Green. He was pretty decent last season, 2,400 passing yards, 16 passing touchdowns, but the majority of his damage was done on the ground. That's what he wants to do. He's going to have trouble in this one trying to find some running lanes going up against this Penn State front four. This is one of the best defensive teams in college football. I'm hoping this season at stopping the run. They were really good last season at stopping the run. This entire defense, they're full of just athletic bigs who will most likely get their shot at the NFL level, including Abdul Carter, who will no doubt be playing at the NFL level in a couple seasons or hopefully next season. These teams played last year. Penn State, they did come away with a win by 23 points. I think this season Penn State's even better than last year, and I can make the case that West Virginia has gotten a little bit worse. I think Penn State, they're going to be able to control the ground game here. They're going to just lean on West Virginia the entire game, wear them down, and then Drew Aller late in the game is going to be able to open up with the air attack. My heart says West Virginia. I love West Virginia. They've always got a great home crowd. They've always got great home field advantage, but this one, it's too big of a task for them. I'm taking Penn State here. Minus 8.5 is the play. Final score, 35-17. For the second play of the day, we're going to be looking at maybe one of the biggest games for Saturday. Georgia going up against Clemson. What could be the best matchup? ACC going up against the SEC, maybe the two best teams in both those conferences. Clemson last season, they did not have their best year, finishing with a 9-4 record, going 500 in conference play. They're looking to do a lot better this season for the Bulldogs. The only thing that's been able to stop them since 2020, that's a 4-year span, people, 2020. The only thing that's been able to beat Georgia in the last 4 years, Alabama and radar guns. The football team has not lost to any other college football team besides Alabama in the last 4 years. It's not going to start in this game, especially at home. I'm taking the Georgia Bulldogs here. Minus 13.5 as a play. They're going to play fast and furious in this game. They're going to be without their new transfer, ETN. He came over from Florida, the brother of Travis, who's in the NFL right now. He's serving a 1-game suspension. The backup running back as well for Georgia is hurt, so they are going to be on their third-string running back. But the backfield this season, it's really good. They're really deep. I don't think they're going to have any problems with the backfield in this game. I don't see any problems with this Georgia team at all. Kirby Smart is one of the best college football coaches ever. He's going to have his boys ready to go, especially here at home going up against a good Clemson team. The problem last season for Clemson was the offense. They couldn't get a lot going, and they're going to ask the same guy to come back at the quarterback position, Cade Klubnik, to see if he can do a little bit better this time around. If you guys remember the offseason, Dabo Swinney was one of the coaches, maybe the only coach, who said he didn't believe in the transfer portal. So I don't think this team's got a lot of transfers. He said that he wants to build his program off of God's name, image, and likeness or something like that. He did say something along those lines. More power to you. If that's what you want to do for your program, go for it. They did take a pretty big step last year, so maybe get some transfer guys next season. But the big question in this game is really going to be down to the quarterback play for Clemson, because Kate, if you can just get Clemson 20, 21, 24, 28 points, they've got a shot to win this game. But I just don't think that's going to happen. Last season, Clemson, they relied on the defense the entire time. They were a top 30 defense at both stopping the run and the secondary. But it's going to be a tough ask for them going up against Georgia. Georgia last season, they were a field goal away from having a three-peat for the national title. They're bringing back their leader, Carson Beck. He was behind center, 4,000 passing yards, 25 touchdowns. They did lose a couple players on the outside, but they're just reloading in this transfer portal with recruiting. I think this is the best team in college football this season. Time will obviously tell if they will be the best football team, but right now, I think Georgia's the best team. Minus 13.5 here. I really don't think this game is going to be close either. 38-16 final score here in favor of the Bulldogs. For the third play of the day, we're going to be looking at the Miami Hurricanes going up against the Florida Gators, another ACC going up against the SEC opponent. The biggest story of this game is something that doesn't even matter. The University of Florida, they've decided to make this a whiteout game, which means the entire crowd is going to be wearing all white. The Miami response is wearing all white uniforms on the road in this game in the Swamp. So really, it's going to be the fans looking like they're supporting Miami with the way they're dressed. That's some serious head games already out of Miami. It's going to be very confusing if you're watching football for the first time, wondering why everybody in white is not rooting for the team in white. But that's definitely one way to get into your opponent's head. I'm taking Miami in this game, minus 2.5 as a play. It's not because of the whiteout thing. It's not because of the jerseys. I do think that's cool, but it's just because Miami is the way better team here on paper. I also think Florida has got an extremely tough schedule. If they lose this game, it could be a slippery slope for them. This is the hottest seat, in my opinion, as well. I guess we can call this a hot seat game because both of these coaches have been in question if they're going to keep their job year after year after year over the last 2 or 3 seasons, at least for sure. Billy Napier for the Florida Gators, Mario Cristobal for Miami. Both guys have been with the rumors about their job security. I think the winner of this game has a really good chance to be a 10-game winning team. And if you do that, you're definitely going to keep your job. But looking at the transfers and biggest impact players in this game, we have Cam Ward coming over from Washington State. He's going to be the starting quarterback for Miami. This guy, he's electric. We also have Damian Martinez back there with him. He's going to be the lead back in this one, coming over from Oregon State. Both these guys are going to make immediate impacts in this offense. The defense, they do need to do a little bit better this season. I do think they're going to be just fine up front. They got some beefy guys, including Ruben Bain, who's the really good last year for them on the defensive front. But the secondary, we're going to see what happens as well for Miami. But the Miami defense, if they just get a couple stops in this game, I don't think Miami's going to have any problem scoring on Florida. Florida defensively, they were one of the worst teams in the country last season, and this season it doesn't look like they're going to be much better. Last year, they gave up 155.6 yards per game on the ground, and they lost a couple really key guys to the transfer portal last year. The offense is going to have to rely on Graham Mertz. He's the quarterback from Wisconsin. Was there last season with the Gators. Wasn't bad. Definitely wasn't great for them. I think even with the Gators in the Swamp in this game, getting a couple points, that's not going to be enough. I think Miami up front on the defensive side is going to win the battle, not allowing Florida to run the ball. And then Miami on the other side, they're just going to be able to do whatever they want, pass or run. They've got their most dynamic players, the quarterback and running back, the transfers. Those are the two best players in my mind. Give me the U. Are they back? Time's going to tell. I'm going to say they're back. Give me them minus 2.5 as the play. 34-28 final score there. For the last play of the day, we're going to be looking at Notre Dame going up against Texas A&M, and this one's going to be a battle to the end. I had a conversation with a couple people in the comment section. They were telling me Texas A&M at home, you have to take them going up against Notre Dame. I agreed yesterday at the time, but I had to dig into this game a little bit more. I also thought Texas A&M was getting the points at home, but that's the other way around now. Getting Texas A&M with points at Kyle Field, I feel like that's a no-brainer, but they have to lay 3 against Notre Dame, and I think Notre Dame's the better overall team. I'm going to flip the script here. I'm going to take Notre Dame plus 3 as the play, and I think they're going to win this game outright. Notre Dame, they're coming into this matchup improved a lot at a lot of positions, including the quarterback position, which might be a hot topic because I know a lot of people like Sam Hartman. They're now going to have Riley Leonard at the quarterback position, the transfer from Duke, and I wish that this kid's body was as tough as his heart because his body, it's been failing him over the last couple seasons, but his heart, it's all grit out there for this guy. I do think he's going to be more of a playmaker than Sam Hartman. Again, not saying Sam Hartman was a bad player. I'm just saying Riley's going to be able to use his legs a lot more in this game. We also have the Notre Dame defense, who might be the best defense in the country this year. They were really good last year. They're bringing in a secondary that might be the best in football, and that's going to make it hard for Texas A&M to get anything going through the air. The Aggies, they will be looking to Connor Wegman, the sophomore, and he hasn't had a lot of reps at the college level last season, finishing with 979 yards, 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. It's going to be a tough ask for this kid. He's going up against maybe the best defensive team in the nation in his first game. He's going to have the benefits of playing at home. But I'll tell you something else. If the Aggies come out slow in the first 3 possessions so they don't get a first down, I can guarantee you that crowd's going to let that young man hear it. I firmly believe that Notre Dame on both sides of the ball, up front on the offensive line and the defensive line, are going to dominate this game, especially the offensive line, giving some protection to Leonard for the first time in his career. The only twist that I can see in this game going wrong for Notre Dame is that Texas A&M, they've got their new coach after the horrible experience with Jimbo Fisher. The new coach is Mike Elko, who was the head coach for the Duke Blue Devils. So there's nobody who knows Leonard better than the head coach of the Texas A&M Aggies. So that might be a problem. They might be able to draw something up to stop him. But other than that, I think the Aggies, I think they're beat against Notre Dame on every other aspect of this game. So I'm going to take them here. Notre Dame +3 in a close contest, 27-24. I do think Notre Dame's going to win the game. Let's go over to some player props for these games. Again, remember, I don't have a lot to go off of for these player props, no stats yet. Whenever we get a few games underneath our belts and we have some numbers to go by for this season, they're going to be a little bit longer. But for Saturday, we're going to start with Clemson and Georgia. I'm going to take Carson Beck to go over 2.5 passing touchdowns. It's +255 right now as a flyer play. I touched on this game a little bit earlier, but Clemson, the secondary this season, they should be pretty good. Not as good as last season, in my opinion, but we're going to see what happens there. And Georgia's going to be without their first and second string running backs, one due to injury, one serving a one-game suspension. So I do think Georgia's going to be throwing the ball a little bit more in this game. They're still going to be able to run the ball in Clemson, but whenever we get into the green zone or the red zone, whatever you want to call it, I think they're going to put the hands in the ball of Carson Beck. Last season, this guy had 4,000 passing yards, 24 passing touchdowns. And whenever he went up against good teams, ranked opponents, they let him throw a lot more. He had 3 touchdowns going up against Tennessee, 4 touchdowns against Kentucky, and 2+ touchdowns going up against Ole Miss, Florida, Missouri, and Florida State. I think we're going to see him throw the ball a lot in this game. Over 2.5 touchdowns as the play for Carson Beck. For the next play, we're going to be looking at Damian Martinez of Miami to go over 0.5 touchdowns, anytime touchdown as a play. This guy's been really good all of his career coming over from Oregon State, and I think he's going to do some damage in this game going up against Florida, who has been horrible on defense over the last 3 seasons. Last year, Florida, they gave up 165.5 rushing yards per game. From everything that I'm reading, it looks like Florida is either going to be the same or worse than at stopping the run than last season. And it's going to be a really fresh start for Martinez because with Oregon State, everybody knew Oregon State was going to run the ball first. They stacked up the box. Now with Miami, they have Cam Ward, and he can do anything. He can run, he can pass, he can throw the deep ball, he has play action. So this is really going to be the first time Damian Martinez has clean lanes to run through. He had DJU with Oregon State. DJ, obviously everybody knows, not a great quarterback. He had 1,200 yards on the ground, even with DJ at the quarterback. I think he's going to have a big year. I'm going to take him here to start the game off out with the touchdown. Over 0.5 touchdowns as the play there. Let's go take a look at the graphic for Saturday. I am going to be taking 2 more plays. I didn't want to go too much into detail with these because I don't have a lot to talk about. But usually on Saturday, last season, I'd probably break down 3 games, maybe 4 games. Probably going to be the same this week. I just wanted to get out a few more because it's the first week of college football. I know everybody's excited. I'm excited. But for these extra games, we're going to look at Northwestern going up against Miami, Ohio. 2 teams that hate offense almost as much as Iowa. We're going to play the under 39.5 points in that game. And if you're looking for Big Ten-like games, look no further than this one. This should be a disgusting low-scoring game where defense dominates every single possession. Miami, Ohio last season, the best defensive team in the MAC conference. They were one of the best defensive teams in the nation. They were top 5 last year in yards allowed per game. Northwestern wasn't as good as that, but they were still top 50 in a lot of major categories on the defensive side. I think this is going to be a really low-scoring game. So I'm going to take the under here. 39.5 is the play. For the other play, I know Vanderbilt is not a good football team, not a good football program. Say what you want about them. I don't care. New Mexico State last season had a man by the name of Diego Pavia. He did almost everything for New Mexico State last season, including 3,000 passing yards, 28 touchdowns, 851 yards on the ground with 6 more touchdowns added on. He had a 153.9 passer rating with New Mexico State. Now he's the starting quarterback for Vanderbilt. It can be Alabama. It can be Georgia. It can be Ohio State. I'd follow Diego Pavia into the eye of a hurricane because this man is a tough son of a gun, and now he's playing football for Vanderbilt. I know that Vanderbilt, not a very good football team, but they've got one hell of a quarterback. He's going to be able to lead them to a couple wins this season. They're a very sneaky money line play for me. I'm going to take Vanderbilt here with the points. I don't think Diego Pavia lets this team lose by more than 2 touchdowns. Give me Vanderbilt here, plus 13.5 as the other play there. For the best plays today, these are all of them. Penn State minus 8.5, Georgia minus 12.5, Miami minus 2.5, Notre Dame plus 3, Vanderbilt plus 13.5, and then that under 39.5 points. Carson Beck over 2.5 passing touchdowns against Clemson, and then Damian Martinez to score a touchdown going up against Florida. Guys, enjoy your Saturday. That's going to do it for the NCAA football plays and props for Saturday, August 31st. If you guys enjoy the content, please sure to drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel below. See you guys next video, and thanks for watching.